What if art was used for good? As a means to create a smarter and more holistic society. One that could address the most pressing challenges our world faces today, from climate change and world hunger to poverty. Today, we get to speak to Faouzi Khlifi, also known as El Cid, an artist best known for fusing Arabic calligraphy with graffiti to paint colorful, swirling messages of hope and peace on buildings in Tunisia, Nepal, and quite a few countries around the world. One of his most renowned pieces is Perception, a large mural painted across almost 50 buildings in the Cairo neighborhood of Manshiyat Nasser, which is home to the majority of the city's garbage collectors. I'm Tariq Al-Alemi, and this is People and Planet, a podcast from Expo 2020 Dubai's program for People and Planet, where changemakers from all over the world break down what it'll take to create a sustainable future for our planet.
An important and vital topic
to inspire other people to take
this
action.
journey through space and time.
An extension of our natural wealth.
Brings us together in so many different ways.
offenders.
Optimize women's contribution to security to build a brighter tomorrow.
During Tolerance and Inclusivity Week at Expo 2020 Dubai, El Cid joined a group of panelists to discuss the power an art piece has on a community and its ability to shape society as a whole.
Artists in general have a social responsibility. Our goal is to bring people together, and this is what I'm trying to do through my work. I'm trying to create bridges between people, culture, and generation. I work with script, I work with literature, so there is a message behind every work that I create.
So you're an artist whose work has touched souls even before it touches a person's eyes. You're an ambassador for peace. You're a human being who leverages the power of art to uplift universal human connection. You are someone who walks through the world, seeing the world itself as your canvas. And in this case, your brush is the poetry of the Arabic language. And you are, of course, the man, El Cid. Welcome, and please introduce yourself for our audience and what your mission in life is.
My name is El Cid. My artist name is El Cid, so this is how I call myself in the art field. I'm an artist who use calligraphy, Arabic calligraphy as my main medium. And I use it as a tool, to, I would say, to create bridges between people, culture, and generation.
And you were born in Paris in 1981. And I wonder, what was the artistic background of your upbringing? Like, what was the kind of art that was surrounding you and your community growing up? And how did you first get into the art scene?
I grew up, in a modest social class. My dad used to work in a car factory, Renault, in Paris. My mom, she was a nanny. I wouldn't say art was, we didn't used to go to museum, or go to exhibition. There was nobody around me that was an artist. So it was just, I just used to love to draw. I've been painting, I have memory of me painting and drawing since I'm a kid. And the first drawing that I remember was an elephant, I was painting an elephant, with and I think it was second grade with one of my teachers. She showed us how to draw an elephant, with shapes, like first making big circle for the body and then the head. And then actually that was the first time, that I was like, wow, actually, like, I can draw, I think it was an evolution. Like, drawing was always something that I loved, but I never thought I would pursue like a career as an artist. It was not in my goal.
What was that moment you felt that things were starting to change for you? Like when you felt, okay, the stars are now aligning in this direction?
On November 9th, 2007, I used to work in New York, for a French company. I used to be a supply chain manager there. And then they called me and they say, it's time for you to move on. They didn't say like you did a mistake. They said like, it's time for you to move on. So actually he was just telling me like, you're fired, but in a nice way. Like I was like sent, I think, by God, to tell me like, yeah, man, you're in the wrong place. What you're doing, this is not your field. You should be like more useful somewhere else. And so when he told me this, I stayed in New York, I think, for 2 more months. And then I moved to Montreal. Just, I think, 2 weeks. And on my way to Montreal, I met this guy who was an artist, a French artist, who used to write his name, graffiti name, Hest, with the Arabic letter. He used to put 2 dots on top of the E and stuff. And seeing this guy like playing with letters like in such a beautiful way, I was like, he inspired me. And then I went and I painted my first wall, with in Arabic, and that was weird because it was so natural. I felt that was something. I felt that was something that was inside me for such a long time, and it never came out, And then since then, I don't know. I felt I unlocked something that was in me that I didn't know, and I'm sure a lot of us have that. I believe in this. I believe we all have this kind of unlocked boxes, and we need to find a way.
I'm very curious, like as you're talking, because you're not just doing art. You really speak often about art as a universal language, the importance of using art to convey universal messages. And the elephant, which was your first drawing, and elephants are, of course, beautiful community builders. Elephants grieve together, they have joy together. When there's a marginalized member of their community, they go and make sure that they're protected. They really live in a sense of universalism. And I wonder, like, as you're talking through that journey, where did that sense of your values of unity and universalism come from? Like, how did that get infused into your art?
I think it's from the education. I believe this is the way my parents educated me. I remember my dad only used to get mad at me and my brothers and sister if we used to fight together. You know what I mean? I think they put something in me that make family first. You know what I mean? Like making sure that you create link. You hold those links with the family. So we have a strong family bond between my family, from my brother and sister to my cousins, and the extended family. We come from a modest social background. My dad used to be a farmer in Tunisia, so most of my family are farmer, and I never forget from where I'm from. You know what I mean? It's important to have those roots, to make sure that you keep rooted from where you're from.
There's a lot of trust in life that you've had, like in the moments where either you quit and you went into a new direction. Where does that trust come from?
I don't know. I don't think there's a special point, but I think there's triggers, in all the projects that I've done. I always say that I want to inspire and be inspired. This is my motto. So when I say I want to inspire, it's like I try all the time to get out of my comfort zone, and I look at the comfort zone as a big circle, that keep growing and growing as long as you stay in it. And it's so difficult to get out of your comfort zone because the circle just gets bigger and bigger, So the distance that you have to walk from where you are to the edge of the circle is longer, because the more you stay in it, the more it gets bigger. And to inspire, I think it's important to get out of your comfort zone, to break this circle. It's not only about the artwork, it's also about the human experience. And I collect those moments. For me, this is something so important to me, to make sure that it's not just only living, just only creating and challenging myself artistically, but also finding a way to create human stories.
For those that are maybe not aware, could you tell us the story about how the name actually came about, and maybe some of the artists that inspired that as well?
There is a French play called Le Cid, from the writer Kerning, and we're studying that in French class in Paris in 1997 or 98. I think it was 97. And so my teacher was telling us, Madame Lacroix. I hope she's still alive, and I hope one day she can hear this. Madame Lacroix, she said, look, the word El Cid is coming from the Arabic word El Sayyed, which means the man, the master. And I was 16, at this time, so I was like, look, I'm the man.
And the world has linked you back many times to the word calligraphy. And I wonder, how did that word come about for you? Like, is that something that you coined?
I used to define myself with this word, but I'm an artist. I see myself as a contemporary artist. Because I'm still alive, thank God, today, and I'm a multidisciplinary artist. I paint, I do canvas, I do art installation, I do wood sculpture, I do metal sculpture, I work with glass, I do films. So it's not only one thing. I took this decision recently to not define myself by my origins. I'm not French, I'm not Tunisian. I'm French and Tunisian by birth and by roots, but I don't want to limit myself, you know what I mean? I think I'm international, I'm human, I'm universal. People used to always define me as a French Tunisian artist, and French Tunisian. Why you don't say Tunisian French? That's something we never read as well. So it says a lot about the historical, I would say imperialism of France. I am questioning a lot of stuff to do about the way people perceive me, about the way I perceive myself, about my identity as a man and an artist. If you don't define yourself, people will define it. So like now with my team, we're working a lot on this way of communicating the real me,
When people ask me, what is the, what you love the most, what I love the most about what I do is not the artistic challenge. I love it, I always love to go beyond my comfort zone. But what I love the most is the human experience and see how, art can bring people together. And I didn't find any other tool actually that can connect people in such an easy way. People are proud to see somebody coming maybe from a different place and say, okay, I'm gonna spend some time here and try to beautify, add some beauty into the neighborhood. But also you create a sense of ownership, which is for me the most important thing, because I love to involve people from the community, which means I always try to make some research on the place and try to make sure that I'm not colonizing physically the space, because I work with Arabic calligraphy in Bahrain. It's easy because it's an Arab place, but, going to the border of North and South Korea or just recently in Nepal, because I work with message, I try to find the message that are relevant to the place itself.
One of your most prominent projects, of course, was Perception. I wonder, in reflecting back, what are those kinds of projects still teaching you?
You come with an art piece in a place where people are not familiar with art, and people, they don't see it. You know what I mean? Because at the end, they realize that actually the art piece is the vector that connects you to the people that you meet. You know what I mean? And I look at it I look at art as a way to bring back our humanity. Because what would make you welcome somebody that you don't know? I'm not saying for one night, but I'm talking for a month, for weeks, in your place, in your house, in your neighborhood, and inviting him for tea, for lunch, for dinner, for birthday party, for weddings, even when the project is finished. And this is what I learned from all those places and all those projects, and is that art bring our humanity back. It connects us. What I did recently in Nepal was destroyed the day we finished. We did a art installation on a mountain in a village that was rebuilt by women after the earthquake of 2015. So those women, they have been creating workshop where they produce their own earthquake-resistant bricks. So you work for weeks and weeks, with them. It was painting and fabrics and bamboo. It was a crazy thing. And thank God, we take picture of the artwork. We filmed, we take everything, and on the night there's a crazy storm that destroyed everything. It destroyed the bridge, in front of the guest house we were staying. When we arrive at the village, we see all the bamboo and all the installation on the floor, And then you're like, okay, what's the point of all of this? We work for a month, but the artwork is down, but the relationship we created with the people of the community are still up. Just this morning, one of the women, she texted me. She's like, I sent her some picture of Tunisia. And she's like, oh, it's so beautiful. I said, okay, one day we take you there, you and your family. So this is the thing. In Cairo, it's the same. In Cairo, if you go now, it's been almost 6 years. The artwork has faded, but the relation is still the same. Me, I was invited to a wedding like 3 years ago. I was there like 2 years ago. I mean, with COVID, we didn't go back since 2019. But I always, somebody from there called me. You know, I have a phone number in my on my phone called Eid Cousin. Eid is one of the guys that I met in the Cairo garbage collector neighborhood. And all the time, at least once every 2 weeks, somebody called me. It's always somebody's different. It's never the same person that called me. Somebody from the neighborhood with this number, Eid Cousin, is like, hey, Mr. Faouzi, how are you? You know, and then I speak with 5 people. You know, it's like, oh, Amu Musa wants to speak with you. And then I speak with him and say, okay, somebody else wants to speak with you. Elena, she wants to speak with you. And then I speak with everybody. And then they hang up. And that's why I say it's beyond the art piece. You know, the art piece is here like to create this connection, and it did. This is, I think, what made me make me want to do what I do. You know, like when I will be an old man, 90 years old, inshallah, if I live this long time, having all my grandchildren and my kids and telling them those stories, and they say, oh, grandfather, tell us one of your story, you know, and I think this is the beauty of it, you know, being able to reconnect and connect with people that you wouldn't have met if it was not because of art.
You know, as you're talking, I feel you are very grounded in a spiritual purpose in a sense of what you're doing. Is it grounded in a sense of spirituality? Is it something that, you know, as you're talking, you're not talking as an artist, you're talking as a sheikh, as a monk, as a priest, as a far deeper calling than that?
I don't know. I think spirituality is important. You know, like I think in the world we're living today, like we feed the body. You know, I think we mainly feed the body. You know, and I think we forget to feed the mind and the spirit. You know what I mean? We tend to forget that you need to create this balance. You know what I mean? You can be the richer man on earth and have everything that you need, you know, and your soul needs something, you know. And I think my soul, I think I need it. Nobody can live by himself. This is a lie. And I think human connection feeds the spirit. You know, that's how I look at it. I don't know if it's a monk, a sheikh, a rabbi, or an imam, you know, way of thinking. But me as an artist, as a human being, mostly I need this spirituality in my life. You know, knowing that it's not about only what I see and what I touch, you know, but more like what I feel, you know. It's a lot about feelings, I would say.
And what are you doing when you feel most inspired? Like, where do you connect to that sense of deeper inspiration for the messages you create for each art piece?
I think inspiration comes from observation of your surroundings, you know. You can be like in the urban jungle of New York and focus on what's happening around you. You can be sitting on a table in a restaurant and looking at the guy who's eating, the way the guy's eating his steak on the next table, and say like, you know, it will trigger some ideas, you know. And sometimes it's just that, like it's just trigger, you know. Sometimes it's constraint that make you inspired, you know, like you can only do this, you know, or you can only do it this way. And then it will feed something in you that make you think differently, you know. So that's how I look at inspiration. Sometimes my daughter, when she was 2, you know, I was looking at her playing and I was like, oh, that would be so cool, you know. Once I got a project we never did as well that was inspired by a fight, a guy who almost insulted me at a family dinner, you know. I won't say his name, but he criticized my project in Egypt and told me this is so stupid, you know, and then I was like, okay. And then he said something else that I was like, smart, thank you. You know, so it's always this, you know, like it's you have to observe how people act. You have to be aware of what's happening around you, and also sometimes it's difficult. That I think this is the most difficult part of thinking. It's when you manage to look at something from the point of view of somebody else.
And one place where there is a lot of inspiration at the moment in Dubai is indeed at Expo 2020. And, you know, the theme itself of Expo 2020 is connecting minds. It is connecting to that mind, and it's also creating the future. And I wonder, how do you personally connect to that theme?
I wanted to shed light on this community of women in Nepal who, after the earthquake of 2015, they have rebuilt their own houses. They trained themselves into construction work, into architecture. They also created some kind of workshop where they build their own anti-seismic bricks. And for me, it was important giving an art piece and a message that is empowering women and also shedding light on a community of strong and resilient women. The mission of the pavilion is to really shed light on women and empower them. And I'm really, really proud and happy to be part of it. That's beautiful to see this, happening in an Arab country, in Dubai. You see everybody coming from different parts of the world, gathering at the same place, showing what they're the most proud of. Dubai is a hub today. It's a kind of place where people connect. And I think Expo was the archetype of this connection, And for me, working with a woman pavilion, I think was, of course, I was so honored to do this, as a man working, for like gender equality and women empowerment has been a fight, I think, for years now. But it was more for me like being able to work for a cause, not for a nationality. I'm not working for the French pavilion or the Tunisian pavilion. So I'm glad I'm not in neither this or this. And yeah, so actually I linked my project in Nepal to the pavilion. So the pavilion was for me a platform where I could show and talk about the struggle of this woman in Nepal and find a way, to continue not the project, but continue this kind of philanthropic mission that we settled in my studio, which is helping, creating this program for educating girls in the village, because in Nepal, many in this kind of rural place, I don't say marginalized, but out of Kathmandu, girls, they stop going to school at the age of 16 or 17 because the school fee become too high and then the family cannot afford it. So I think, if with my art I can contribute to this, it would be amazing. And so that's what the artwork on the facade of the pavilion is about. It's about this being a platform to continue the work that we've done there and a way to amplify the voice of this woman.
And your work is about human connection. And for so many of us, we've just gone through an age of human disconnection, at least physically, due to the pandemic. I wonder, how has the pandemic impacted, your work, your art? I know you've also been working with different materials such as glass over the last year. And I wonder, how is the COVID experience, lockdown, that disconnection where, your real work is about connection has really impacted you and where?
I enjoy myself when I enjoy working when I'm outside, when I'm in the public space and being locked means that, you don't create this interaction. We did a project actually with my team. We managed to create this Zoom project, where I created an art piece with 48 people. I painted an art piece that I cut in 49 pieces that I then sent to people, and then they just had to upload it as their background. And I invited Aloe Black, the singer, and his wife, Maya Jupiter, and they both performed for 1 hour, during the creation of this artwork, where 3 girls from Netherlands, Yara, Rosa, and Nora, who are super famous dancer, and they did the performance while people were waiting for me, so stressed out to create this artwork. And then it was a beautiful experience because people were able to connect, during 1 hour, during a concert. And that was amazing. That was super cool. And then we created a lithograph out of this artwork that we sold. One part of the money was sent to a Tunisian hospital and one was sent to a French hospital. So I think, like I said, inspiration comes from the condition where you are, and the restriction that you have. That's what I said earlier today. If you're locked up, you're locked down, you cannot go out. So how do you create art? How do you create a experience, human experience? You do them virtual, but this is still a human experience.
Thank you for reminding us of what's real. Thank you for reminding us of what's cool. Thank you for reminding us of what's true. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was great to talk to you guys. Thank you, Tara.
People and Planet is an official podcast of Expo 2020 Dubai, creating a sustainable future for our planet together. Learn more by visiting virtualexpodubai.com or searching Program for People and Planet. People and Planet is produced by Kerning Cultures Network. Episodes are released every second Monday, and hit subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss an episode. And if you enjoyed the show, share it with your friends and leave us a review.